Good evening. I'd like to call the General Committee meeting to order. Would everyone please rise for the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask this evening that you lay your hand upon our country, give wisdom to those elected this day in order that they might lead healing and an end to the divisiveness that is permeated during this election cycle. Help those who assume leadership roles to understand that you have blessed us all with not only freedoms, but with responsibilities as well. Responsibilities as a leader to the world and responsibilities as a caretaker of tomorrow's America for our children. Help those who are winners to live up to the trust placed in them by the people they represent, and for those who are not successful, help them to understand that dedication to and respect for God, our community, our state, and our nation always comes first. These things we pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Kosher, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Boche.
Mrs. Acevedo? Here. Mr. Campbell is not with us. Dr. Kraft? Mr. Egan? Here. Mrs. Lemoyne is not with us. Mr. England? Here. Mrs. Dysart?
Here.
Dr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Long is not here. Mrs. Nicosia?
Here.
And Mr. Warner?
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Boche. Ms. Lemoyne notified us that she's at an educational convention. So, okay. Before we go on to the first item on the agenda, I'd like to take a point of privilege just to say that today would have been Mr. Ron Nicosia's birthday, and he is still today and always will be in our hearts. So, wishing he was still here. But we also have Miss Judy Nicosia, who is with us tonight and has been serving as the same district that Ron was serving, and it was her birthday on Friday, so we want to wish her a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank y'all so much. No. I love all of y'all.
Alrighty, and next item on the agenda are Super News, and with us tonight we have Miss Alex LaPare Schneider.
Good evening, and happy belated birthday, Miss Nicosia.
Thank you.
So before we show this month's Super News, I am going to go over a couple of big events that are happening throughout the district before our next monthly meeting in December. The first is going to be the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra will be joining us this Thursday. They will be doing performances from 10 to 11 o'clock with all of our elementary students. From about 10 to 10:30, they'll be doing small group demonstrations, and they'll take the stage at Shaman High School's Cultural Arts Center at 10:30. Also, Shaman High's performing groups, all of the performing groups, will be doing this year's Christmas show, December 8th and 9th at 7 o'clock. That will be an event that is supposed to be spectacular, and this theme this year is Christmas in New York. Finally, following that throughout the month of December is going to be our elementary and middle school Christmas shows. Those dates will be announced on the school website, and so if people are interested or board members are interested in attending, they can go ahead and look at those school websites. Without then further ado, we will go ahead and show this month's Super News produced by Barry Lemoyne and Jack Jackson with Penn TV.
And now from the desk of the superintendent's office, it's time for Super News.
Hello, I'm Alex Schneider.
And I'm Barry Lemoyne, and welcome to the throne room of Shaman High School's production of Robin Hood.
And welcome to this month's Super News.
We'll kick off Super News with some exciting news as Joe Davies Elementary School teacher Catherine Randall received a very big surprise and a very big check. At a school-wide assembly, this outstanding third grade teacher was surprised with a National Milken Educator Award, which is considered the Oscar of education. In addition to the recognition, Catherine received a no-strings-attached $25,000 cash prize. Before cheering students, respected colleagues, distinguished officials, and the media, Randall was presented with this prestigious award by Milken Family Foundation Chairman and co-founder Lowell Milken. Randall's unwavering dedication to her students and school have resulted in outstanding and sustained academic aims, and we congratulate her on this honor.
You're only as good as the team that you're a part of, and I believe that I am who I am because of my team, because of my school, because of the leaders on the district level. So thank you all. I'm so honored and I'm so proud to represent you with this.
And now we go from an academic celebration to an artistic one as we take a look at the recent CHS Tech Crew show. A parody of Star Wars and Disney, this show was written by student Tommy Hall and produced by the over 50 students who participated in the behind-the-scenes magic that is tech.
Many of these same students were working behind the scenes when the merry men and women from CHS Live took to the stage for its production of Robin Hood. The familiar plot receives a modern twist as the evil Prince John wants to cut down Sherwood Forest to put up an arms manufactory, a slaughterhouse, and a tennis court for the well-to-do. This wild farce brought together a diverse group of students for an evening of comedy and combat.
And now, we sure would like you to see all of the fun that was part of Chalmette High School's 69th annual homecoming festivities. In addition to a big victory by the Fighting Owls football team, the traditional presentation of the homecoming court was also a part of the pageantry. The band and Charmers deserve credit for making this presentation a one-of-a-kind experience for the girls, their escorts, and the entire Owl family as well. Following the game, the court was also presented at the homecoming dance, escorted by male students who were nominated based on their involvement and commitment to organizations at CHS. Congratulations to this year's court.
Another special partnership was celebrated recently when the CHS Key Club partnered with the Miro Foundation to bring Boo to the Barn back to the Dockville Farm. This community celebration is truly fun, family-friendly fall festival, complete with tricks, treats, music, and games. Congratulations to all who made this event such a spectacular success.
In another special presentation, Valero continued its support of our Special Olympic athletes with a check presentation of $15,000. Valero's generosity and ongoing support to this program is one of the keys to its success.
And now it's time for our monthly teacher features as presented by some of our school board members as we celebrate our awesome educators.
Hello, I'm Cliff England, Vice President of St. Bernard Parish School Board. I love Brandy's enthusiasm in the classroom and out. Her first priority is to show our students that she loves them. Once they know that, she has them ready and open to learning. Her personality in the classroom is second to none.
Ask a question, form a hypothesis, make a prediction, do a test, or experimentation, analyze data and draw a conclusion.
Hi, this is Judy Nicosia. I'm a representative of District 10. Mr. Landry is a wonderful teacher who has grown a strong, successful band program at NP Trist Middle School. Through his commitment and dedication, his love of music and teaching is evident when you watch his students perform on the football field, marching in parades, or performing in concert. He should be proud of what he's accomplished. He is always thinking of his students to make sure they have fun while learning about music.
I'm Diana Dysart, President of the St. Bernard Parish School Board. Amy Wood is an enthusiastic and caring teacher. She provides a fun, exciting learning environment for all of her students. Mrs. Wood goes above and beyond to make sure her students understand the concepts that are being taught. She is an asset to our district. Thank you, Mrs. Wood.
What's the response?
Word.
Your
Word.
Your writing, very good. Your writing. Your student response is your writing.
Congratulations to these 3 terrific teachers.
Also deserving kudos were those teachers who were recently awarded grant money to support some special classroom projects. Sarah Felt was recognized by the Arts Council for innovative and informative children art tutorials on YouTube, while 3 teachers received the Jazz and Heritage Foundation Community Partnership Grants for in-school music programs. Charlene Strain will use the funding to create an instrumental music academy for 5th and 6th grade students who are interested in developing their musical instrument skills. Carl Landry, the band director at Tris Middle School, will use the funds to augment his program with sheet music, private instructors, and visits by professional artists. While Arabic music teacher Sarah Larkin's grant will be used to promote and encourage different cultural groups to share traditions and history through stories and performance.
Powerful and poignant stories were also a big part of a series of special presentations during Red Ribbon Month, sharing with students the dangers of drugs and the importance of good decision making. Inspirational words from our sheriff, as well as a powerful video message, were all part of the gathering.
Well, that will just about do it for this edition of Super News. But before we go, we wanted to share our last bit of big news, our Teachers of the Year. These top-notch teachers were selected by their peers for their commitment in the classroom and their tireless efforts in helping children to reach their potential. Congratulations to all these teachers, and thank you for all that you do.
And thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time here on Super News, where we let
the Super News roll.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Until next time, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year.
Yes.
Yes.
They are incredible, and we're so blessed to have such a wonderful teaching staff, so congratulations to all. Okay, next item is an education item. Dr. Lewis.
Thank you, Ms. Dysart. Item 5 on the agenda is update on Performance Plus. Mr. Brown.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Go ahead. We'll take it. It's getting the remote.
No.
I have to do a little dance to get this to go.
Okay, all right.
Here we go. I'm sorry for the delay. In the past several years, we've been hearing a lot about data-driven instruction, and as it implies, it is exactly that. We use data to inform us about our instructional programs and the direction that we should be headed in next. And for a while, that focused a lot on classroom or school-level data. And I was asked tonight to show you how do we trickle that down to a classroom level so that teachers can be informed of their students' progress on a classroom level so that they can in turn make quick decisions about their instructional techniques and practices in the classroom. So the product that we use for this is a product called Performance Plus, and it fits in with our electronic gradebook program. There's a link inside of their gradebook that takes them directly to the page that you see here. So what happens is, from a district level, there are district coordinators who create, let's say, for example, benchmark tests in this program, and from there, a answer sheet is created for each and every single student for that test. So that answer sheet is specific to that student for that test. Okay? So each child gets his or her own answer sheet. The teacher then gives the test, brings the answer sheet to a scanner, scans it in, and the software package does all the grading. And within minutes, the teacher can then come to their console and pull up their test results. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. From here, I'm going to choose the type of report that I want to display, and since we're looking at assessments, we're talking about assessments, let's look at assessment score report, for example. Now, I have access to the whole district, so I have to go for a few extra steps than a teacher normally would. I'm going to look at English Language Arts. The teacher would only see his or her own class. They would not have access to select other classes. So then the teacher would say, okay, I want to look at the test that I just gave, and if I just gave my benchmarks, I want to look at that test. Okay, I'm going to select so that we don't get the entire, break it down a little bit. Okay, and for the sake of privacy, I'm going to take off the students' names when I run this report so that we will stay in good boundaries here. And then you see here I have instant results. So within minutes, the teacher could go back to his or her classroom. The student's name would be displayed here, and I would have the score from the test and the proficiency level that the student fell within. And I can click here and order it from lowest to highest or from highest to lowest. So it will automatically take those scores and place them in the order that you so choose. So this will break it down on a class roster basis. I would see each individual student and his or her score on that performance, on that assessment. But I can also, without changing very much of anything, I can change to a proficiency level pie chart. And if I just click Run the Report again, now I can see as a whole that 90% of my students in this class scored proficient, with only 0.5% scoring non-proficient. And these are interactive. That's why it turns into a hand, if you notice. If I click on this, it will tell me the students who fall in this 90%. It will also tell me the students who fell within the A range, the B range, the C range, and the D range. Okay? Additionally, if I pulled up this English benchmark test and I said, you know, I really would, as a teacher, like to know how does that compare with how they did on the reading inventory that we took in the fall? All I have to do is select the additional test I would like to look at. And there you have it. Now I have both the benchmark that I just gave and where the students fell on their SRI inventory, their reading inventory that they took in the fall, so that I can look for patterns across the board with my students. There's no limit to the number of tests that teachers can use to compare across, so as the year wears on, they can compare benchmark 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Okay? And the last thing I wanted to show you is that I can take a group of kids. Let's suppose I want to mark all of my students who are on the borderline of being unsatisfactory. And I have the ability down here at the bottom to create a focus group. I did one earlier, I called it board test, but I'll just create another one, create a new group, and I'm going to create this as a intervention group. And I'm going to keep it as private. So that now, the next time I run a report or I run a benchmark exam, when I go to filters, I can pull from the student group tab and I used intervention, I think, this time. I might have misspelled it. There was the one that I did earlier, the board test. And it will run the report just on those kids. So if I have kids that are sitting on the borderline from one test, marking period 1, and I want to watch their progress, I can put them in their own little group, and when I give benchmark test number 2, I can run the report just on those kids, and it will show me where they were on benchmark 1 and benchmark 2, so that I can monitor how they're progressing along the path as the year wears on. Okay, so it's a very powerful tool and it does a whole lot, but I've just given you sort of an overview, just a general broad concept of what the program can do, and this is how we basically get that data-driven instruction down to the classroom level so that those teachers can make decisions about their instruction based upon the results with literally within minutes of scoring their tests.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your presentation. Any questions or comments from board members?
I have a question.
Ms. Dysart?
Mr. Brown, when you were showing, thank you very much for your presentation. When you were showing the two different tests, were they the same students across the board?
They were. They were.
So they could see if they were at a level 3 or level 5?
That's
or
correct.
If they went up or down. Okay.
That's correct. They could compare. I took off the names for obvious reasons, but yes, it would be. You would see John Doe with his fall SRI score and then his marking period 1 for English language arts, allowing the teacher to say, okay, look, he didn't do so well on my benchmark, but his SRI scores are telling me that he's reading at a normal level, so maybe this is a content issue, maybe this is not related to reading per se.
And do you know, do all classes send the assessment, the benchmark assessments home?
I don't know if they send them home.
Okay.
I know that the scores are accessible through the Home Access Center.
Mm-hmm.
The parents can view them through Home Access Center.
Okay. And just at what point are the students clumped into the or categorized and then go to the intervention? At what point? Is that at the end of the first 9 weeks? Is that, do you know?
I don't know the specific time frame, but I think it's towards the end of the first 9 weeks is when we get enough data on a particular student to actually place them into an intervention program. Early on in the year, it's hard to say where that student falls, so we have to get through a few assessments and some instructional time before we really know if the child's in need of intervention.
Well, thank you. That is such a useful tool for teachers and so specific. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any other board members? Dr. Kraft?
Thank you, Dr. Litt. Yeah, good presentation, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
This is a very important tool, especially for feedback, immediate feedback on the results, not only for the student but on the teacher, because tests should be used as a tool and not a weapon, as we've seen sometimes throughout the nation. So I think this will be very useful, and it certainly will help the students move forward and see what their mistakes are and how to correct those. So immediate feedback is extremely important, and this is one way we can reach our goals quickly. Thank you. Thanks for your work in this program.
You're welcome, and I agree with you.
Any other board members? Thank you again, Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson.
Ms. Dice, I'll turn it back to you for item 6, executive item.
Thank you. And Mr. Long's absence, Dr. Kraft, would you chair this, please?
Mr. Cranberry, you're on. It's very short issue.
Real short.
Thank goodness.
Whatever you'd like to share with us, any questions on the report of the personnel department this
Carol's resigning.
You're losing Chad, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'll hate to see
Yes,
him go.
we've advertised for his replacement.
Right.
Yeah. Wish him well, that's right.
Thank you. Mr. Cranberry, the first teacher under the resignation, had she retired
She was a retiree returned.
and then
to work.
came back?
Right.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Excellent teacher.
Yes.
I've worked with Carol for
Yeah.
about 4 years. Excellent teacher
She was very good.
at Milladon.
Thank
Been
you.
around a long time like the rest of us.
Over
huh?
Yes, yes.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
She was
It's,
over
oh,
30.
Paul, don't go that far back.
Ah,
You got all the math teachers you need?
no,
Still looking for that?
still looking for math teacher. I'm waiting for Henderson, Dr. Lewis, to send me some from Orleans Parish, but he hasn't done that yet.
Got any really good math teachers?
No, we're still looking for math teachers, so if there are any out there, we're still looking.
Something.
We fill in the spots. It's just, we're always looking for math teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Cranberry.
Oh, ready?
Okay, next item is finance. Mr. England?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Dysart. This is a revised 2016-2017 general fund and special revenue fund budget. Mr. Fernandez, welcome, sir.
Thank you. In your package, you have the first revision for the 2016-2017 budget. We're doing this general fund, which is basically a technical revision. What we're doing is we're going in and we're adding in the year-end encumbrances and year-end fund balances, as we often do, reappropriating those amounts. We also, it also reflects our current MFP allocation as well as the Act 14 monies appropriated by the legislature. Those are included in here. And it also reflects the actual staffing. As you recall, we did the original budget back in May. There have been staffing changes, people up and came in, so this reflects the new staffing with the actual people in it and the related benefits. So those are exhibits 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the summary. 2 and 3 are the detail on the revenues and expenditures. Exhibit 4 is just the special revenue funds. You've already approved most of those. It's just showing the final allocation amounts for this year. So that's just for your information as well. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Board members for questions. Now, you do have time before the next board meeting, before we have the final approval. So if you want to take your time and look at this in the next few days and get back with Mr. Fernandez, I know we'll be more than willing to address your issue.
Absolutely.
We need a motion, Mr. Warren.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Warren, second by Dr. Lewis.
Recommendation.
To go to. Any other questions for Mr. Fernandez? Please cast your vote.
Motion passes 8-0.
All right, we go to item number 8, bid tabulations for bid received for spices and seasoning, Class 2, cereal, dried beans and crackers, Class 3, frozen foods, Class 5, meat and meat products, Class 6, poultry and eggs, Class 7, seafood products, Class 8, and canned goods, Class 9. Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you. Also in your packets is the tabulation for the food bid for the second half of the year. This is a 6-month bid, runs from January 1st to June 30th. We are recommending the low bid on each item.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Kraft. And a second, Ms. Meyer. Okay.
No.
No exception.
No, sir.
No questions? Any questions from board members? And so we have a motion by Dr. Kraft, Mr. Secretary, seconded. So, cast your votes, please.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you.
Ms. Dysart?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. England. Next item are the superintendent's recommendations.
Well, we just had a meeting not too long ago. Thank God everything has been very quiet. We had a very successful in-service day today with all of our teachers and many of our paraprofessionals in professional development workshops. Tomorrow, I know we announced all the teachers of the year tonight. You saw them in the Super News, the video. Tomorrow there will be the interviews among the elementary and middle at the different level to choose the district-wide teachers of the year. So that's going to be an exciting day tomorrow. And other than that, we'll see you next week. Hopefully the election will be complete at that time. We'll know where our country is heading at that point and ready to move forward.
Thank you, Ms. Foche.
I'm sorry, Ms.
Mr. England?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the new elementary school mural is really coming along fantastic. I tell you what, when the people pass this facility, it's going to be fantastic. You know,
it's looking good. It's on schedule, so we hope it continues that way. But it is a very impressive building.
Right. But so for the traffic coming into the parish, you know, it's going to be really impressive for them. And the main thing I just want to stay on top of, you know, for this facility is the caution light or a red light for safety for the students and for the parents and for the St. Bernard people, for the people of St. Bernard.
As you know, we have put the request in to the State Department of Transportation for that. They're continuing to reevaluate because at this point initially they were saying that it did not merit an additional stoplight. We've provided additional information. We look at it more as a safety issue as opposed to a high-volume traffic issue. Right. We are in contact with our representatives in the state legislature to see if they can help us to make sure that we do secure that. So we would welcome all of your help.
Right, because they do have a red light by Jackson Boulevard and by Packenham. You know, when you go down, I mean, it's only one block. Right. And then we're talking about a state highway over here, you know, so I hope they can get it done. Thank you.
Is that it, Ms. Fote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, two items for board members. In the envelope on your desk is a copy of the superintendent's superintendent's evaluation that we have to do every year. If you would or could have that evaluation done and bring it to the meeting next week or give it to Shelby so we can tally that. And then the first meeting, the committee meeting in September, we will have a special meeting for the superintendent's evaluation as mandated by the state. And also wanted to congratulate Chalmette High School, who is going to the state playoffs this weekend, in Zachary. So good luck to the Owls. Okay, Mr. Warner.
I just wanted to say go Owls, that's all.
Okay.
I did have one thing from Ms. Voce. The legislature created a blue ribbon task force to review tax policy in the state of Louisiana, and I think their recommendations came out. If maybe in the future you can look at those recommendations and see how they may affect us positively or negatively.
I know that one thing that we are looking closely at, I think they are coming out recommending a reduction on the inventory tax, which will be detrimental locally. They're looking at ways to possibly mitigate the effects, but those ways to mitigate the effects would be to allow the imposition of additional local property taxes to make up that particular difference, or to do that in conjunction with some reform with the industrial tax exemptions. So you're absolutely right. They did come out with those recommendations. So maybe we do need to discuss it a little bit more fully and bring them to the board's attention
In the future. And
in the
that's what
future,
has me
maybe
nervous is how
prior
we-
to the legislative session, because a lot of this would require legislative action as part of the tax restructuring initiative. And if that indeed goes into effect, we've got to be very diligent to make sure that we're going to come out not at a loss, and that not only will the school system not take a loss, as well as other local governmental entities, but the taxpayers in this parish too. We've got to be very cognizant of balancing that out so that we're not going to be, or the state will not force an increase in property taxes to make up the difference.
Right. The last thing we need to do is go before the voters and ask for another increase on property taxes.
Correct.
Thank you, Ms. Voce.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Anyone else? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn? There's a motion by Dr. Kraft, seconded by Ms. Acevedo. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. The meeting's now adjourned. Thank you and good night.